Hey, one more World Entertainment, and Dan Trachtenberg is out talking about the return of Dutch to the world of Predator once again. As we know, Trachtenberg directed Prey, directed Killer of Killers, and is directing the brand new upcoming next month movie Badlands. And with the Killer of Killers, of course, animated, they ended up re-releasing it on Disney Plus with an extended edition or a special edition with the ending including not just Nardu but Dutch and Harrigan. Now the funny thing is, when you read all these articles, they keep leaving out Harrigan for some reason. They just keep going Naru and Dutch. It's like you realise Danny Glover's character was in there too, but he again now is out there talking about the possibilities of bringing Arnold back. However, we're not sure whether or not that's in animation form or live action form. Now, when you hear kind of the conversation he's talking about, it sounds more like animation, but he's also kind of saying there's more chances and opportunities to do even more, which means, is he looking at live action? Now, let's get one thing absolutely clear here. None of this could happen if Badlands bombs, and I've got a very strong feeling that Badlands is going to bomb. Does Disney keep pumping money into Dan Trachtenberg's vision of Predator, or do they simply turn it completely into this Disney Plus exclusive, which it would be now because Hulu, of course, has been completely absorbed into Disney Plus. But the other issue they do have is, even though they put this in there and they discussed, I think it was the guy who did the concept art said like the original idea was for the movie to end not just showing Naru but then to show Harrigan and then of course Dutch. They didn't do that. They just showed Naru. So the movie you watched showed you Naru, didn't show you Dutch and stuff. Now they've added in the Dutch and Harrigan part, and although people were kind of saying it's cool to see and the design and stuff looked fine, there was still backlash to it. To believe it or not, there was backlash to it saying like, this is just stupid and you're literally just putting out dangling the card in front of everybody going, ooh look, we put Dutch and Harrigan in here, aren't we great? And of course people were also pushing back saying like, why wasn't this the main version you put out? You put out the other version without them. Why then did you then release this version with them in there? But what did Dan Trachtenberg actually say about the potential of a Dutch return? Well, he did an interview while speaking to Empire about Badlands, and of course he got asked about the Dutch cameo in Killer of Killers. And again, you see and find out where this is funny, that he gets asked about Dutch, not Harrigan. It's not like, wow, you put Arnold in there and you put Danny Glover in there. What was that like? No, it's just, so you put Dutch in there. Well, how did that happen? Which I just think is weird and funny. But this is what he said in that interview. He said, I met Arnold and he said, you'd think I get I'll be back yelled at me most, but it's actually get to the chopper. So he's well aware of the franchise's staying power. He was excited to talk about what else we could do because there's so much more story to tell now. You could tell how Dutch and Naru were captured, or what happens when they're de-iced. Many possibilities. So that part there is where it very much leans back into the animated stuff. So Arnold is probably talking to him about lending his voice and obviously his likeness to more of the animated stuff, because if you're telling the story of how they got captured, well obviously you have Dutch looking like Dutch in the 88 movie of Predator, and if you de-iced them right now, you still have young Dutch, not old Dutch. So what exactly way do they work that? And then saying, speaking at the Predator Badlands panel at San Diego Comic-Con, he also teased there was more to Dutch's return than just the new cameo alongside Harrigan and Naru. And he said this at that panel. Recently I had a little breakfast with Arnold and super self-conscious about what I ordered. We talked a lot about the things we could make together, and he was very kind to approve his cameo in this. And we can now continue to cook up things that may be in store for that guy. So again, that one sounds more like it could go anywhere. It could be live action or animated. Whereas the newer interview with Empire, very much sounds like they're leaning into the animated stuff because of what he looks like in Killer Killers. To then tell the story of how he ended up there and stuff, yeah, you'd have to do animated. Unless you go full in with lots and lots of money to do de-aging, but what'd be the point of that? Now, another issue there is happening, and I actually had this in a comment when I did a video about this cameo, like the return of Dutch and Harrigan, was people who played the Predator hunting ground games. Of course, Dutch got added into the game. I think he was through a DLC, but he got added in there. Old man Dutch, so Arnold more as he is now. And there's a story about him being spliced apparently with Predator DNA and all this type of stuff. But that game was confirmed to be official canon to the whole story of Predator. So the first movie and everything was getting attached to this game. So this was meant to actually be where Dutch ended up. And I do believe Arnold did come... Well, I'm not sure if he gave his voice. Obviously, he gave his likeness. I don't think he gave his voice. He didn't do voice work for it. I think they got someone else to do voice work for it. But I did see a lot of fans complaining and getting confused about them doing this with Killer of Killers. What the hell did that mean for hunting grounds? So it is kind of all over the place, but I think the idea of bringing them back in animation form makes more sense than live action form. But what do you guys think? Do let me know, because it is interesting. So we could possibly be getting Dutch in the future, either in live action form or animated form, or both. We don't know, but I think a lot of it will depend on whether or not Badlands is successful. And if it's live action stuff for Dutch, I think Arnold would more so want a big screen. So let us know. And with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Cheers. Catch you in the next one.